Everyone expected money. The Cruz family gathered in the old, stuffy living room of their late patriarch, Don Ernesto Cruz. He was a stern, intimidating man who had built a business empire from scratch and rarely, if ever, smiled. Now that he was gone, whispers filled the family like a venomous fog. He must have left millions. No way he didn't write a will. He better not give everything to his favorite child. He owes us after all those years of putting up with him. One by one, the relatives filled the antique wooden chairs. There were the sons, the daughters, the grandchildren, and the in-laws, all of them tense, all of them greedy, and all of them pretending to grieve the man they secretly resented or feared. At the front of the room, on a polished mahogany table, sat a single, pristine white envelope. The family lawyer, Mr. Ramos, a man who had seen decades of Cruz family drama, cleared his throat, the sound cutting through the hushed tension. Don Ernesto did, in fact, leave a will, he announced, his voice steady. But it's unconventional. Everyone leaned forward, a collective intake of breath. Their feigned sadness was instantly replaced by raw, undisguised curiosity. Mr. Ramos carefully broke the wax seal on the envelope and unfolded a letter. He began to read Don Ernesto's final words. To my family, you are all eager to know what I have left you. But what I leave behind is not money. It is truth. A wave of confused murmurs rippled through the room. What did he mean? Was this some kind of final, cruel joke? The lawyer continued reading, his voice unwavering. I have watched all of you for years. I know your strengths, your flaws, your kindness, and your cruelty. So today, each of you will receive exactly what you gave me. A sudden chill filled the room, colder than the air conditioning. The greedy smiles faltered. Mr. Ramos then picked up a stack of smaller envelopes from his briefcase, each one bearing a name. One by one, he began the final reckoning. He started with the eldest son, Arturo. Arturo sat with a smug, self-assured smile, as if this were all just a formality before his coronation. Let's just get this over with, he said, a little too loudly. Mr. Ramos looked at him over his glasses and read from the first letter. Arturo, my eldest. You loved me only when I was wealthy. You visited me only when you needed investments for your failing businesses. You saw me not as a father but as a bank. So I give you what you gave me, nothing. Arturo shot to his feet, his face turning a deep shade of crimson. What? This is ridiculous. He can't do this. But the lawyer simply set Arturo's letter aside and moved on, ignoring his outburst. Next was the middle daughter, Regina. She smoothed her expensive silk dress, expecting praise for her dutiful appearances at family functions. Mr. Ramos cleared his throat and read her letter. Regina, you cared for me only when others were watching. Your kindness was a performance. Your affection was rehearsed for an audience. You wanted everyone to see what a good daughter you were. I leave you the applause you always sought, empty, fading, and utterly meaningless. Regina's carefully composed face hardened into a mask of fury. The applause she craved was now a room full of shocked and judging eyes. Then came the youngest son, Marco. He leaned forward nervously, wringing his hands. He'd always been the black sheep, the one who struggled. Marco. The lawyer read, his tone softening slightly. You were often lost, often troubled. You made many mistakes, but you tried. Even when you failed, you tried to be better. I leave you my workshop, the only place you ever seemed at peace. The place where you could build things instead of breaking them. Marco covered his face with his hands as quiet tears began to fall. Not tears of disappointment, but of recognition. The lawyer then moved on to the grandchildren. He called their names one by one, each letter a precise and painful mirror. To Lucas, your visits were only opportunities for selfies for your social media, proof that you were a caring grandson. I leave you a mirror so you may finally see what you truly value most. To Anna, you brought me soup when I was sick, even when no one else was there. You sat with me when I was lonely and just listened. I leave you my library, filled with the stories you loved to read to me. To Paulo, you mocked my old age when you thought I couldn't hear. You made cruel jokes behind my back. I leave you silence, the same deep, isolating silence you gave me. The room had erupted in shocked whispers. Alliances fracturing, resentments boiling to the surface. Finally, only one envelope remained on the table. It was for Elena, the quietest grandchild. Elena had sat silently through the entire ordeal, her hands folded calmly in her lap. She never asked for anything, never demanded attention. She was almost invisible in this family of loud, clamoring personalities. Mr. Ramos picked up her letter, the last one. "Elena," he began, his voice gentle. "You were the only one who visited without wanting anything in return. You read to me when my eyes grew tired. You walked with me in the garden when my legs were weak. You brought sunlight into my final years. So to you I give everything I own." The room froze. A collective, disbelieving silence descended. The lawyer continued, his voice ringing with finality. "My house, my land, my remaining savings, my business shares, all of it belongs to you." Elena gasped, her eyes wide with shock, and then the room exploded. "This is favoritism!" shouted Arturo. "She manipulated him," screamed Regina. "She's a liar." "Redo the will," but Mr. Ramos raised a hand, silencing the chaos. Everything was signed and legally verified. Don Ernesto was of sound mind, and his instructions were crystal clear. Elena just shook her head, overwhelmed, the voices of her furious relatives fading into a dull roar. "I didn't do anything to deserve this," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Mr. Ramos offered her a small, gentle smile. "My dear," he said, loud enough for the others to hear, "you gave him what no one else did, not attention, not obligation, but genuine, unconditional love." The room fell silent once more. Greed melted into shame. Entitlement crumbled into regret. Some family members stormed out, slamming the door behind them. Others shuffled away quietly, unable to meet anyone's gaze. But Elena remained seated, tears now falling freely down her cheeks. Her heart was heavy, but it was also full. Because she understood. The greatest inheritance wasn't the property or the money. It was knowing, with absolute certainty, that she had given love where love was needed most. And in the end, that was the only currency that truly mattered.